Guess what time it is? It's time for your morning tea. It's time for your morning tea. So, your morning tea today is intimidation is only weaponization. Again, intimidation is only a strategic measure of weaponization. So, how many of us know that no weapon formed against us shall prosper? If you didn't know, you know now. Isaiah 54, chapter 17, the A clause of that scripture tells us that. And in 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 4, it tells us, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. So let's get to the meat of the matter. Intimidation only is only weaponization. How do I know? Because I always use myself as an example. So when I was in junior high school, I didn't really fight unless I was placed in a flight or fight position. So physical fights really didn't happen in my case. Do you want to know why? Because I used my weapon. What was my weapon? Intimidation. How did I intimidate people? Well, in junior high school, I was much taller than people. I wasn't approachable, so I looked mean, and my voice was so heavy and so big. Who did I just kind of describe? Goliath. The truth is, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. And my aunt told me that all of the time. So I kind of was afraid of falling. So I intimidated people. Guess what the enemy does? The enemy intimidates you with weapons. For if we already know that no weapon formed against us shall prosper, you know he already knows that, right? He kind of knew that before we knew it. Why? Because he knew God before we knew God. Truth is that he probably knows God better than we know God because he's known God for longer than we have known God. His vices are to basically steal, kill, and destroy. Steal, kill, and destroy. Intimidation literally does that. Like, okay, so if the enemy intimidates you from, let's say, completing an assignment, and I mean an assignment to go into your destiny, or if you have, like, I want to say, a meeting, or if you have to present a proposal, or if you are trying to develop a relationship, he intimidates you. He intimidates you by the looks on faces. So like I said, my one of my weapons was the way that I looked because I was very unapproachable. I looked very mean. But Jeremiah 1:8 tells us, do not be afraid of them, for I am with you to deliver you. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of their looks. Don't be afraid of the weapons of intimidation. Like the valley of the shadow of death. Of course, you know the enemy uses that to intimidate us, right? Why? Because when we think of shadows, we think of darkness. But what we don't realize is that the shadow is produced by some form of light. Okay, so look. You see my shadow? Guess what? It's because there is a light in front of me. That's the only reason why you're able to see my shadow. If you were in that shadow, the valley of the shadow of death, if there was no form of light there, it would just be a valley of death. Like, he wouldn't put the adjective, the shadow. Like, it's only to intimidate you. Don't let your current situation intimidate you. Don't let what you're facing intimidate you. It's only a weapon used, basically a weapon of intimidation. Intimidation is only weaponization. How else can I put this? No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Intimidation shall not win. Go around it. Intimidation is like a veil. A veil can be swapped to the side. A veil is transparent. You can see right through it. It kind of conceals some of the details, but basically you can gather what's behind it. Move it to the side. Blow on it. I bet you it moves. The enemy is more afraid of you than you know. Trust and believe. Remember, I told you the joy of the Lord is my strength. Face your fears. Your faith is bigger than your fear. And on that note, I'm out of here. Your faith is bigger than your fear. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and intimidation is only a strategic measure of weaponization. I hope you have a great day, cause I plan